Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have Old Granddad. This brand is from a long time ago, the 1880s. 1882. But in fact, this 80 proof version is from around, what, 2015. It's the new configuration. For decades, it was 86 proof. But for whatever reason, Beam Suntory decided to put it down to the 80 proof level. So this is not perhaps the Old Granddad you're used to. If you look at most of the video reviews on YouTube, they are talking about the 86 proof. Not much I can do about that. Here is Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Another Beam Suntory brand, obviously Beam. This is 80 proof. Now, the Jim Beam brand name, Jim Beam Bourbon, came out in 1938. The company, the Beam Distilling Company, had been around since around 1795, off and on. But decided to come out with the Jim Beam after James Beam, who revitalized the company following the disastrous U.S. government interference in regulating personal behavior called prohibition. But you know, the U.S. government still tries to regulate other types of behavior. But anyway, with that, we won't get into all that. And of course, not with very successful results. But anyway, we'll get off of that. That was originally higher than 80 proof. If you look at old ads from the 60s and 70s, but at some point it was dropped to 80, which seems to be the preferred liquor proof. Go to a local store, like for instance, here would be Winn-Dixie or Walmart, because you could walk down the aisles there on your own and look at each bottle. You don't have to ask someone behind the counter, pull that for me, and bother them. So you go to Walmart or Winn-Dixie right there. Almost, I can maybe see them outside the window, and you just look, and most of what you're going to see is going to be 80 proof. Okay, the flavored versions, like maybe the Jim Beam Honey or the Christian Brothers Apple flavor, they might be more like 35 proof. 70 proof, 35% alcohol. And then you'll have some that are higher. Now there's an Old Granddad 114 proof, a newer version. Then you have the bonded, which has been around since 1890s, 1897, or after that point at some time, because that's when the law went into effect, the bottled and bond law. And that's 100 proof. Well, that's not going to be looked at today. Okay. Another thing to consider. The Jim Beam for this size bottle, 750, and everything is in milliliters, okay, since 1980. So we don't use the terms half quart or 4/5 of a quart. This is about $13.99 to $15.99. Some people have told me, oh, I've seen it for $12.99 at their store. Okay, so let's say $13 to $15 for that size. Old Granddad is going to be about, now this is the half size, $3.75, but it's going to be about $19 to $21 a bottle. Okay, so consider that. Let's set up the chat. There's a whiskey ad. Interesting. My daughter's favorite. Okay, all right. So You want to, if you're going to pay, oh, that's the wrong video. That's the wrong thing. I hit the wrong thing, people. All right, we'll try this again. If you're going to pay $20 a bottle as opposed to $14 a bottle, you would hope that one would be a lot more, a lot higher quality, right? I mean, I would. Now we got it. Frederick says, morning from Miami. Have you tried Bushmills of Ireland? No, I have not, but I've seen it. Try in so little time. If I had 27 hours a day to do this in 10 days a week, I'd do it, you know? So if the Granddad is going to cost me $6 to $8 more a bottle, it had better be much better. If this is a tie, that's it, right? And I've done these before where it's been a tie, and I say, well, why would I ever pay more? Now, if Old Granddad is differentiated, if I can smell a big difference and taste a big difference, and it's a lot more, much more higher quality, then the argument is fine. It's better to pay more, but it's not always better to pay more. So we got the J tag, Jim Beam J, J for Jim. All right. As the sun rises in the east. And we've got O for old. One of the old stirs. Old Crow, Old Granddad, and Old Overholt. Yeah. Didn't mean to do that. Little spill situation going on. Try to get it the same level. Let's see. Yeah. Same level. Okay. Appearance. I did put a little bit more beam, but not much. About the same color. Medium amber, a little gold. Medium gold, whatever. Some alcohol eggs, like they might say in New York City, yada, yada, yada. Same old story, right? I've been pleased with the Jim Beam. If you know the history of my reviewing, you may or may not care about that. But, I first did the Jim Beam out of the little 100 milliliter bottle that I bought at Walmart for $1.97. Those were all gone, I noticed. They're always switching out those little sampler plastic bottles, but I found it had a unique mossiness, greenwood, moldy even thing going. But then I started picking that up in other Beam Suntory whiskeys, so like Old Crow. So it makes you wonder if they were not using the same base. Okay. Frankfurt and Claremont, Kentucky. Yeah, it's always the same places. The Beam's 8-star had the same aroma and taste as well, but it was just so watered down. The aroma was faint and the taste was faint. Makes sense. It's 80% grain neutral spirits. So you're only getting taste and aroma from 20% of the volume. When you smell it and taste it, you swear it's just Jim Beam mixed with a tasteless and odorless alcohol compound. Which, I mean, I wouldn't buy it to drink because it would be too dull. Not that it's offensive in any way, and it is only $7.99 a bottle. But people buy that to make mixed drinks. They just want it for the alcohol, because it has a flavor and aroma that is not objectionable, and then it's got the 80 proof, the 40% alcohol for mixed drink purposes. So it works fine in that sense. But it's not going to be much of an experience on its own. Okay. Jim Beam, however, you get in the straight whiskey, so you got a lot more complexity and everything. Now, which is which right now, I don't know. I'm even keeping my eyes closed just because of one is a slightly higher. I don't want that to tip me off. It's sweet, it's rich, it's boozy. Well, what do you expect? It is booze, but in a pleasant way. It's from the rye. They use an elevated rye content for the old granddad. Some green wood and the mossiness, but okay. Very similar aroma. The sweetness, the sugariness, the booze. Green wood. A little mint. Peppery note. This one seems less sweet though. This seems sweeter, but as far as the spiciness, I'm not really picking up anything as far as being different or comments. I didn't want to make people think I wasn't paying attention. Okay, to what they were saying. All right, let's go with the taste. Standard bourbon whiskey flavor. Corn. You pick that up. Barley. Just cereal, right? Like cereal grain. Some sweetness. White oak. Some mintiness. Evergreen. Green wood, maybe. A little mossiness. A small amount of char. Some spicy rye. Well, it tastes like, if somebody gave that to me blind and said, what is that? I said, that must be Jim Beam original. That's what I would think. Now, your counter argument might be, but you don't know a whole lot about whiskey. Your experience with whiskey drinking is not extensive. And I would say that's true. I would have to concede that point. But you have to start somewhere. You don't start with 20 years of experience. You start with no experience. Then you build up to it, right? And that's why a lot of people are turned off by the beer drinking world, the craft beer world, because they're just new to it, right? Oh, I turned 21 yesterday. Let me start experimenting. And then they got people talking down to them and dressing them down. You don't know what you're doing. Well, how would they know? They started drinking beer yesterday. Yeah, some people wait until it's legally their time to, they're legally allowed to do it. And so then they're being beaten down and shown up because they don't know things about beer, or could be wine. Well, why wouldn't they just say, well, I don't need this, and just go back and drink standard beverages without a lot of thought? They might say, well, I was at the bar and they were drinking Miller High Life and I didn't have someone trying to school me on IBUs. I asked the man, what is an IBU? And they ridiculed me and laughed. And well, how do you learn if you have to gain the experience? So no, that's not my approach. All right. And it would be the same thing with whiskey or brandy or gin, which I've been fluent with. You don't get the experience until you have the experience. This taste is so similar. You say, well, that must be the old granddad because it has a rye spiciness and the sweetness and the wood. Yeah, but the other one did too. Are these different in flavor? Maybe. Look, the differences are so slight that in my booklet, I would never dream of paying 1 penny more. Together, I am serious. I am entirely serious. So if they had 2 750 milliliter bottles at the store, one said Jim Beam and it was $13.99, and the other one was the 80 proof and it was $14, I would save a penny and buy the other one because the trade-off is there is no trade-off. Essentially, they're both the same quality. They're both well made. You're going to get your 40% alcohol if you're into the the modern drunkard approach, whatever, because some people are going straight for the mainline alcohol injection, that. But if you're going in, but that's a different lifestyle, but if you're just going in for the tasting, whiskey connoisseur approach, which is my approach, that's just an excuse. You want to drink all the time, but you're trying to mask it, and as you're an aficionado and you have an elaborate tastes. Following up. Yeah, that could be done. You could do that as a cover. And you say, oh, you just wanted to do Dawn Busters so you can have an excuse for drinking in the morning. So, I mean, a person could do that, and it may fool people, it may not. In my case, I'm just honestly just trying to taste it. But if you want to believe whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But you see, this also has those Jim Beam things that I've been picking up on, that waxiness, like some kind of wax, like you would get off a wax paper. I can't explain it. And none of these things that I'm talking about are bad flavor and aroma notes. They just are there. I mean, if you can't, I can't really tell them apart. So there's your argument. The argument is made. And I've proved what my contention was. My hypothesis is if I compare these at the same temperature in the morning, in the same size glasses, with the same, basically the same amount of liquid in the glasses, then I would not be able to really tell them apart. And I can't. And so the conclusion is that you should not pay more for Old Granddad. I wouldn't. You can. I would not. I'm talking about that. I don't know about the bonded version, the 100 proof. That could be a whole different animal. We'll see down the road. Time to make the call for what that's worth, which isn't worth much since they're both very good. And you say, which one's the winner? It's a tie. Maybe this one is a little better because it's got a higher rye note. But some people would make a not want to drink it because they don't like the rye. I can understand that. That's a personal preference issue. That is not a quality issue. And a lot of people, and I've noticed in beer reviewing, they'll use their personal preference as a quality measurement tool. It'll factor into their score. I can't get over that. They'll say, well, it's a very well-made wheat beer. It's exemplary for a wheat beer. But I don't like wheat beer, so I'm going to only give it an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 80%. Although it probably really deserves a 95. I can't get that. I can't grasp. like saying, this is a fantastic minivan. It's the best, most well-made minivan in the history of minivans since 1984. But I don't like minivans. I hate minivans, so it's a D. It's trash. Minivan. Some people love them. I mean, but I think you get the point. I think logic and reason, reason and logic should play a role in beer reviewing and evaluations. You say it's all just opinion. It's not all opinion. The opinion is whether you like it or not, whether you personally like it or not. But when you started to look into it, the quality of the item, now you're trying to be a little more objective, because then, so there's some common assessment levels for products, right? So and you'll start to notice that there will be a consensus, like you don't really see a whole lot of people out there in the world saying how Milwaukee Special Reserve Ice is a fantastic beer. That's that cheap private label thing from Minhas, not Minhas, City Brewing in La Crosse, Wisconsin. A few people that will say, well, it's tolerable. I could drink it in a pinch. But do you ever see anyone saying, oh, this is so well made, it has all these fine characters? No. So that's the objective part of it. It's obviously cheaply made. It would not be $10.99 a 30 pack if it was some high quality product. And it tastes like it's cheaply made. It's nothing to do with I like lagers, I don't like lagers, I like adjuncts, I don't like adjuncts. Oh, I like bourbon, I don't like bourbon, I like high rye, I want low rye. No, it's the quality. And I think Beam makes extremely high quality products. Is it the great? Is it going to be on par with something $140 a bottle? I think a fool could answer that question. No. And I saw they had in the paper, there was one of these specialty ones from the big companies that was $140 a bottle. I can't remember which one they were advertising it in the sales ad. So I think this is the Beam. Yeah, Jim Beam. And I think that's the Old Granddad. So I thought you could tell them apart. Now, you could tell them apart because of the mash, the rye content. So you might prefer a higher rye product. Yeah, but I don't know if I would pay more. Don't they make a Beam rye? But that might be the same as the Old Granddad. I hadn't compared those prices. But, they're both fine. I mean, I like high rye, low rye. So as far as quality and flavor and enjoyment, the international enjoyment units tie. Production values tie. Taste and aroma tie. The price per ounce or liter, milliliter, I mean, not a tie. Okay, so now we'll do another one of these Dawn Busters, and we'll see what else we can compare. But what I have found out is that you're looking at these mass-produced whiskeys or brandies, and it's very difficult to tell them apart. They tend to be very similar. So it seems that it doesn't really matter. It does not really matter which one you buy at this point so far. Now, I've found anyone that's a standout dog, just a dog. On the other hand, I haven't found one that's just head and shoulders above the others. So it's like you could get a Big Mac or a Big Buford or a Whopper, and I don't know. So I'm fascinated when some people will make statements like, I love Jack Daniels. Wow, I don't get that, because the standard deviation in flavor, right, isn't this. This is not the standard deviation with those. All the ones I talked about. Old Crow, Jim, Green Label, Jack Daniels Black Label, Benchmark, Old Number 8. That's another common one. No, the standard deviation is this. It's not a flat line, but it's nearly a flat line. So you're going to get excited because this. Same thing with beer. It's like Coors, Miller High Life, Budweiser, Milwaukee, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Molson, Canadian, Labatt Blue, and people will say, love, love, hate, hate, love, love, hate, hate, as though it's this. There's big peaks and valleys, when no, it's really very subtle, and in most cases, insignificant differences. So then you shout price. Frederick says, do ice. Do ice? Ice can open the difference. Not sure I follow what you're saying. I would say scatter plot of price and quality. I'm sorry, those comments are not, they don't make sense. Anyway, to me, they don't. So just what I thought, no big difference. Buy what you want. Things, nah. Paul Masson, E&J, Christian Brothers. Those are your three main line. That's your big three in brandy. Chevrolet, Chrysler, or Dodge, Ford, Buick. No big difference. And so on with beer. It's just, there's no difference. Not in any meaningful way. All right. But anyway, it's still fun to do it and blah, blah, blah. All right. Thank you for watching this video production. Let me know what you think. And we'll try to be back soon. Take care, people.